Hey friends, wanted to hop on and kind of share what I've been doing the last little while. So at the beginning of April, I started a 75 soft challenge, and I had done one kind of around the same time last year, and just really I loved how everything kind of came together. Um, as hard as it is to kind of build a routine and structure, I was ready for that, and I was really amazed how quickly I got into habit and routine, and how important that was for me last time around, and just really showed me what I'm capable of. And so my main reason, I guess, and goal for this time around was, I've been struggling the last couple years um, with chronic illness, and so I really wanted to take time, be intentional, and kind of get to the root of what's going on. Um, I kind of shared in my previous video about in my healing journey that um, I had a couple cysts on my right ovary, and they were a little concerned about those, and they were extremely painful. And so I think I was seen in November or December, and so I hadn't got any update or anything um until the end of March. And so thankfully those cysts dissolved and are no longer, which I'm really grateful for. But the pain is still there. I'm just having intense pain. And so speaking with the doctor, they narrowed it down to a couple things. They think it could possibly be endometriosis or painful bladder syndrome. And a lot of the symptoms I'm having, it's just too broad to kind of narrow it down. I've been having a lot of weird symptoms, and so they've been very frequent and very chronic. And so my suspicion is that it's endometriosis that's kind of attacking my bladder, because just some of the things that I've done research on and things like that, it just very aligned. And so I I was told just to kind of keep track of my symptoms and kind of things that are happening. And so that's my plan during the 75 challenge, is to really do an elimination diet, kind of see what is causing my flare-ups and things like that. But yeah, I was kind of relieved to know that, okay, there's a diagnosis on its way, or we're narrowing it down. But also kind of a lot, because it's gonna take a lot of work on my end. And so I just really want to be well. That's my biggest goal. And so I really want to do that in the most natural way possible. And so they really wanted to put me on birth control, which I'm not really for. I really want to find any alternative naturally that I can, use to heal my body and, really manage this, and hopefully, relieve the pain. That's been my biggest thing, is just living with this constant chronic pain. And some days it's dull, achy, and sometimes it's super intense and brings me down, and that's been really hard to live with. And so just being able to kind of share, because it was scary not really knowing what was going on, but just having these really intense things happen to me. It was hard. It was really defeating and depressing, and just kind of having these issues and not really having a solution. And so I just really took the last couple months to try to cut things out, and slowly and, surely just get on the right path and get to where I need to go. And so I just kind of sat with it for a while, and I thought, I was really impressed with myself and my dedication to 100 days. And so that's kind of my goal, is to weave in, healthy habits and routines that are going to carry out past that time. And I know I can do it. And, that's what I really want to give to myself is consistency and discipline, and really like commit to myself. As a giver and a healer, I have extended myself beyond limits throughout my career, and it's really shown. And I feel like I kind of hit a little burnout. And so at the end of March or February, I can't even remember. Time's not real, but whatever. But I left the studio that I was working at, and it was kind of like a weird circumstance, and I wasn't really planning on leaving. And so I just really had to do what was best for me, and just, give myself the love and, give myself what I deserve. And so I parted ways, and that was really difficult. And I thought that, my plan was to leave and to do travel sessions, which, I've done before in my career, and that's kind of how I started out. So nothing new for me. And I thought I'm just going to get right back into it and, book my travel clients and stuff like that. And so the time came, and I was just like, ooh, not ready. Like, not ready. Like, physically too, like, travel sessions are a lot, I'm packing up all my stuff to go travel to wherever my clients are, and to set up for massage, Reiki, sound healing, whatever, and so it is a lot to pretty much provide the setup, experience, service, and it can take a toll. And so I didn't want to like pressure myself and try to be like fully booked. I really wanted to kind of ease into things and get back into it, because it is hard. It's easy to show up and to do work, but when you're having to commute and do all this and that, it definitely adds to it. And so I just really wasn't there. Like, I felt like a huge like loss, and also going through a lot of things personally, like within our family, like also more loss. And it was a really hard time, and it was really difficult to get through. There was a lot of times where I felt like I had hit the lowest of the low, and like, how did we get here? Like, it just felt like our life kind of flipped upside down, and that was very stressful and really difficult. And I am a person who is very optimistic to a fault at times, but I really try to be positive and motivating. And in this part of my life, it just felt like everything was crumbling, and like all my dreams crushed and burned to the ground. Like, very dramatic, I know, but that's kind of what it felt like. I've been working and building my business, and this felt like a huge setback. And so I had to sit with that for a little bit and realize that, I made the right choice. It was a hard choice, but it was what was best for me. And just dealing with all like my health stuff and things like that, I'm like, my health and well-being is nothing to be negotiated about. Like, and so yeah, I just had to take time, and I was very stressed, because it's like I want to provide for our family and make income and things like that, and it just felt like very lacking. And hindsight, I'm very glad I had that time to process and heal and like rest, because my body needed it. Like, going through like a lot of stress and things like that, once your body kind of recognizes, okay, it's safe, like it can rest, and so I feel like that kind of happened. Like, all this stuff kind of unfolded and happened, and my body's just like, yo, let's catch up. Like, let's catch up. And so I got, lots of great rest, and really took time to take care of myself and slow down and try to process everything that was, going on. And so after that appointment, I was just very dead set on like, let's do the 75 soft, like let's ease into it. Let's, you know, I just want to be able to move and function, like being a mom, being a business owner too, like thinking about that was really like crippling. Felt like an existential crisis, like having to maybe possibly like not end my career, but like severely cut back the work I was doing. And like, because I have been doing it for 14 years, and when I was younger, I would do a lot of work, like, and I would bust through it. Like, I did take care of myself and things like that, but like, I could just endure a lot more. And now I'm at a point, I'm like, I'm not trying to endure work, you know what I mean? Like, I really want to help who I'm able to help, but I don't want to cross what I'm capable of. And I feel like that was starting to bleed through. And it was really hard because what I was capable of, like, it just, it didn't compare to what I used to be able to do. And so I'm just like, what is going on? But I had to really honor myself. And, where I'm at right now is my body is screaming and calling for me to really pour back into me. And so that was huge. And so I'm on day 16. Very proud of where I'm at and just committing to it. And I took a little bit of a break, like workout wise, over the weekend because I was preparing for a retreat, an experience, the Body Alchemist Somatic Experience. And that was incredible. So I got to be a facilitator at this event, and we had held a somatic experience last September. Whitney Buck, who was the main facilitator and the owner of the Body Alchemist Retreats, she had me there last year, and it was really amazing. There's probably 30-ish people, and it was like a group healing, like an all-day kind of extensive retreat rather than, your traditional like overnight retreats. And so it's just kind of a different pace, I guess, and just like a lot of work, and then like the integration is different because sometimes, you'll have rest and breaks and things like that, and the integration happens, there. And it's just really interesting at these retreats. Like, we're in a group setting, we're healing out loud, we're connecting and creating a community. And last September's was different. It was a different vibe. We did more like 2 days of like really like a lot of body work, energetic work, things like that. And that was really good. It was exhausting to still, be doing like so much work in such a short amount of time. But I think just like that setting, there's just something about that. Like it really was huge, and it felt huge. And so I was lucky enough to get to help facilitate this last one over the weekend. And it's at this beautiful, beautiful event center called the Boxcar Room. And it's just like this old brick building, just like rustic vibes, like just so cool. And every time we go there, it's just like, oh, this place is amazing. And so this time around, there was quite a bit more people. It felt like a lot of males showed up, a lot of couples, which was so beautiful to see. That's just something that, like, I feel like as women, and I'm not going to say all women, but I feel like women are more called to healing groups and circles and just getting to be vulnerable in that way. Sometimes it is hard to be open and vulnerable, but getting to see men open up and be vulnerable and show up for them, but show up for their partner as well. Like, it was so beautiful. And just having them share their experiences and like what was happening and, what they were working through was so like huge. It was profound. Like, just getting to witness these men be vulnerable and be strong, soft and strong at the same time, is just like a beautiful thing to watch unfold. And this experience was set up a little bit differently. So day one was very like much all like in your body type work. we got there, kind of did intros. We did an opening ceremony where everyone stood in a circle, and Jake, one of the facilitators, and Whitney handed out roses and welcomed everyone in and gave them hugs. And I just love opening that way because it's just very like, here you are, like, welcome, and just really taking a moment to celebrate you and, you know, your step into this work. And it's a huge step, so, you know, it deserves to be celebrated. And so we opened up, we did some breath work. Jake is an amazing breath work coach, and so he guided us through a deep breath work journey, and that was amazing. I always love breath work. And so we opened up with that, and then we tapped into forgiveness work, which is very heavy and can be a lot. And so this setting, we did Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian prayer. And so you can do this with yourself, but I feel like the way that we do it is so intimate and just very like, there's something very just like intimate and personal about it, and very powerful. Is we paired up with someone that we didn't know in the room, and we sat with them. You sit with them face to face and you look in each other's eyes. And this can be very uncomfortable for people. I myself am one of those people that I don't like to make direct eye contact too long. I'm like, oh, what do I do with my eyes? Like, you know, avert. And so just like kind of being vulnerable and kind of surrendering that, like, you know, like, you're not running away, like, you're facing this. And it shouldn't be such a scary thing, you know, like, you are safe and you are supported in these spaces. But, you know, a lot of times, like, we take for granted closeness and intimacy, like face to face, you know, with today and the screens and the busyness of life. Like, sitting down and taking time to intentionally be there with someone and not going anywhere else, like being directly there, it was crazy. It's a beautiful thing to sit with somebody and be vulnerable and, you know, be willing to, you know, do this. And so what the Ho'oponopono prayer is it's a forgiveness prayer. And so you say these, I don't want to say affirmations, but you say these lines over with the intention of forgiving those who you are on the outs with. And so how we started was we made a list of everybody that, you know, were, you know, just that we feel that we could forgive or consider forgiving in the future. And so writing out the list, kind of writing, you know, things or situations that could be forgiven. And that in itself is very intense because, you know, that's where like a lot of things come up. And sometimes when we have discord with people and we no longer talk, we just kind of have, you know, it's hard. It's really hard to forgive sometimes. And so that's what the power of this is just knowing that, you know, forgiveness doesn't always have to come with an apology. You can forgive on your end and really work on letting go of, you know, the pain and suffering attached to that, you know, discontent. And so sitting with someone that is, you know, you're unfamiliar with, and kind of like being open to expressing those hurts and resentments and things and having stuff come through is so, it's just nothing like I've ever done. Like, and so it can bring up a lot of emotion, but the lines are, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And so we just repeated these over and over as we're, you know, engaging with our partner. And it's a lot, it's intense. You kind of have like the nervous giggles like the first couple minutes because you're just like staring at them and telling them that you love them. And then it gets kind of deeper and like things start to kind of like unfold and be uncovered, and you're almost like seeing things like work through them And it's like a mirror, you know what I mean? You're expressing your hurts and things like that, and you're working on forgiving and just getting to like be on the other side. Like the giving and receiving side is just like nothing like I've ever done, like I said. But it's so beautiful just to be vulnerable in that space and allow your heart to be open like that. And just, I encourage you to try that with yourself, but with your partner, people that you love. And like, it might seem silly and weird and uncomfortable, but like giving them your undivided presence and attention is a gift that like it cannot be given besides directly from you. And so doing that, we did that a few different times, but it's beautiful. And once you kind of work through the awkwardness and the uncomfortableness, like you see the beauty in it, and someone just being there and holding you and loving you and supporting you right then and there with whatever you're going through, you know what I mean? And so we shared afterwards, and during that, I feel like it's always emotional. This time around, it was very emotional for me, and I had a lot of things that I was holding on to that was just very heavy and very just painful and constricting that I just hadn't really taken the time to, I guess, acknowledge, and it all kind of came up then. And it was a lot more than I had expected. And part of me, like, so the last retreat, it was a lot. There's a lot of things happening and going on, and I'm lucky to be there as a facilitator and to help guide and support those around me and to help hold space for those and be there for others and comfort them. And that was one thing too that I just kind of had a little bit of like weird feelings about the first time, because as a facilitator, I want to be taken seriously and like seen as, strong and things like that. And I really had to kind of like block out part of that, because it's like, yes, I can still do those things, but I think there is a strength in being real and authentic and sharing. For those who don't know me, you'll get to know me. I am very emotional. I'm very just tapped in, and I feel things very heavily and deeply. I'm a very empathetic person. And so in these settings, it is hard for me because I do feel the energy, and I have always been this way, but I'm like a empathetic or sympathetic crier. Like, people cry and get emotional, and I do too. Like, it's hard for me not to. And it's also hard because in these settings, like, everyone is dealing with something different, but there's always connections and things that come up that it's not just you, it's an us thing. And so I just felt like I had to keep it a little more together. Like, I was expressing a lot of emotion, but I wasn't like being vocal, I guess, in my expression and what was coming up and things. And so this time around, I like almost had vomit, like word vomit, not word vomit, but just kind of like, I've been holding this in and I need to talk about it. And so I shared, and it was a lot. Like, I have been going through a lot of things and have gone through a lot of things in my life, and I have always been known to just be like good and kind and all these things, which is fine. Like, that's who I like to be and I strive to be, but it's not who I am all the time. And I'm allowed to be angry, and I'm allowed to, share my anger and like be vocal about it. And like, I feel in the past I've been very like shamed about being loud and expressive, or I'm too much. And so that has like affected how I show up and affected like what I'm willing to like express. And a lot of people know me as like very calm and quiet and things like that, but internally shit is going crazy in there, shouting like, girl, like. And so that's been hard to like, I don't know, just feel comfortable in that setting doing that. But like I said, like, as a facilitator, like, I'm a human having a human experience alongside you. And I think it's powerful to watch that and witness that too, because I'm not exempt from healing, and I'm not like on the highest totem notch of my healing journey. I feel like I've experienced a lot of different layers and, parts of my journey and my healing journey, but there's been a lot of things that I've had to unlearn and come back to and like realign. Like some things that I was doing and, the direction I was going, it just doesn't align anymore. And so I had to redirect. But I think the greatest disservice I would do to myself is not like be myself and authentically express myself and silence myself. And so I felt a little weird sharing like such a heavy and personal like part of me and like what I was going through, but it felt so freeing afterwards. I just felt like a relief, like holy crap, like I felt like I just did kind of word vomit. But just being able to do that and realize, yes, I'm on my healing journey, but yes, I still, there's still things I'm working on. I am not perfect, but what I'm doing is showing up to make the changes, that are going to help me be the best I can be. And I will never be the best I can be. I will always, there's always work to be done, but it's also kind of like meeting myself where I'm at right now. And like I said earlier, like before, like my life kind of seemed chaotic and like it flipped upside down. And then I kind of just had to realize that it's not upside down. It might feel like that, but things are all happening for a reason. And like I said, like hindsight, I had this time to rest and recover, even in the midst of all this craziness. And I'm so grateful for like the individuals and the friends and the family that always made sure we were not without. And I'm so grateful for all of you. I could cry and get emotional about it. But it's just a closing of a chapter, and we're welcoming in a new era. And so whew. And so yeah, I feel like for me, I'm a person who is always trying to learn and grow from myself, my experiences, things like that. I am a projector in my human design, and so the projector kind of sees things, like sees the big picture and really tries to find the best way, the most efficient way. And so we kind of wait around and we gather information and knowledge and things like that, and really like fine tune like what we have going on. And then we're able to share that when we're presented with an invitation or somebody's like searching for, what we have. And so I like, that's just in my nature too, just to help and find a way and things like that. And so I'm like have ADHD brain right now. But so yeah, I really felt like I was stuck for a long time, and that I didn't really know how to unstick myself or like what's my next move. And so something that's been like obviously like in my dreams and my vision board, and has been for like the past 2 years, is really like honing in and like committing to starting my YouTube channel. And it's so crazy to think about, like 2 years this has just been sitting up here and in my journal, just like, okay. And I let fear and like judgment of myself like hold me back, like, oh, am I ready? I don't know. And then I'm not technically like, I'm not a techie person at all. And I really struggle with technology, and like it stresses me the fuck out sometimes. And like I can handle social media pretty well. Like I'm just trying to like learn how to manage that like better. But I just had a huge block. Like I was so afraid to just like get into it that it took me 2 years to do it. And so I had all this free time, and then just that like calling in the back of my head, like, what are you doing? You could always do this. You could always try and go for it finally. And so I did, and I had all these like notes, pretty much a YouTube tutorial on how to create a YouTube channel. And so I had to break it down from step one, and I did it though. And I did that. Gosh, I did it kind of all at the same time at the end of the month. And so I finally did it. And I'm so proud of myself for finally committing to it and doing it and just showing up. Like, it's not perfect. You'll, if you're riding along for the journey, thank you. But you have to start somewhere. And I think too, like, somebody's always waiting to hear your story. And doesn't really matter how you're receiving that story as long as the message is being delivered. And so I really had to step out of my head and just like show up. And so I also have a fear of like speaking and like being open and honest, I guess. Like with friends, family, it's a little bit different, but like, to strangers and things like that, like it's definitely difficult, and like fear of being judged or perceived a certain way. But I just had to like start choosing myself and start like forget that noise, fuck that noise, because what is it even anyways? Like, and that's something I learned too, is just like I do get anxiety and I do get caught up in my head, but you wouldn't be presented all these things like for a reason if you weren't ready. And so part of you is ready, and part of you still has that resistance of like, am I ready though? And so I think too, doing things when you are afraid and you have anxiety and still doing it, it's huge. Like, you just have to believe in yourself and give yourself the opportunity. And even if you're stumbling through the words or, yapping a million miles an hour and whatever, like, I think just being authentic and, showing up, that's what really matters. And so that's kind of why it's been a little bit since I've posted another video, but I had no resistance. I've been waiting to share this video for a while, create this video. But like I said, it's kind of been crazy. Full moon, and then we had the retreat, and then I started my period right after the retreat, and I was literally just down for a few days, just like resting. Your girl was tired, and so I just really needed time to like recover. And I feel like today I felt finally like a little bit better. And so yeah, I just really wanted to share kind of what's been happening in the last couple weeks, since the beginning of April, really. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I was waiting for this event for, the last few months, and that was really like all I had going. And, I was just put everything I had into it. And so I'm still kind of riding that high, but I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have done that and connect with so many amazing people, and just, know that this is like what I love to do, and just doing these things just connects me more to that. And it just like fills me up so much. And yeah, so I just felt very inspired and had a lot of takeaways from the weekend. And I feel like the integration is gonna be, it's been a while. I feel like I really wasn't there the last couple of days. I was just, napping, but I felt like that's really what my body needed. And I'm really excited to get back to my workouts and, committing to this journey, and, just trying a little more every day. And yeah, so who knows what is to come, but I wanted to share too that I am doing more sound healing and more sound baths, and that's something that I really want to share on this channel. And now that the weather's nice and things like that, I can do more outside sound baths and things like that. But I'm really excited to be posting more and start sharing that with you guys. And yeah, so I hope you guys stay tuned. I love you guys so much, and we'll talk soon.